discussion of the Employees' Provident Fund Schemes 1952.
Schemes under the Employees' Provident Funds and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952, EPF, and MP Act 1952. Employees' Provident Fund Scheme, 1952, EPF, a mandatory long-term savings and retirement benefit scheme where both employees and employers contribute equally to create a substantial retirement corpus, ensuring financial security and stability during an employee's post-retirement years. Employees' Pension Scheme, 1995, EPS, a Social Security scheme providing monthly pension benefits to employees after retirement, along with disability pension for employees and widow-widower pension, children pension, and orphan pension to eligible dependents. Employees' Deposit-Linked Insurance Scheme, 1976, EDLI, an automatic insurance coverage, providing a tax-free lump sum payment to the nominee or legal heir of a deceased employee, offering crucial financial protection to the family without requiring any contribution from the employee. The company can apply for the PF code under the following provisions. Section 1(3) applicable when the establishment employs 20 or more personnel. Section 1(4) applicable for voluntary coverage when the establishment has fewer than 20 employees, or for specialized organizations, such as embassies. Section 2A provision for obtaining PF subcode for branch offices or group companies operating under the same corporate entity. Para 2(f) of the EPF Scheme, 1952, definition of excluded employee. Full withdrawal case: an employee who was previously a member of the fund and has withdrawn their full accumulations under Clause A or C of subparagraph 1 of paragraph 69. Pay threshold exemption: an employee whose monthly pay exceeds 15,000 rupees at the time they would be eligible to become a fund member. Definition of pay: note, pay includes basic wages, with dearness allowance, retaining allowance if any, and the cash value of applicable food concessions. Para 69, 1A and C circumstances in which accumulations in the fund are payable to a member. Retirement after age 55 on retirement from service after attaining the age of 55 years as stipulated in Para 69, 1A of the scheme. Migration abroad prior to migration from India for permanent settlement abroad or for taking up employment in a foreign country as per Para 69, 1C of the scheme. Para 69(2) of EPF Scheme 1952, employment cessation provisions. Under paragraph 69(2), members may withdraw their full EPF accumulations when ceasing employment if they meet the following criteria. Termination of covered employment: the member has ceased employment in any establishment covered under the EPF Act and is no longer working in covered establishment. Mandatory unemployment period: the member has remained unemployed for a continuous period of at least 2 months following the cessation of employment. Para 69, 5 of EPF Scheme 1952, Process 4, re-establishing EPF membership after withdrawal. Withdrawal of EPF accumulations: member has withdrawn the amount standing to their credit under subparagraph 2, Para 69, of the EPF Scheme. Subsequent re-employment: member secures re-employment in an establishment covered under the EPF Act. New membership status: member must requalify for fund membership and will be treated as an entirely new member. Para 26A of the EPF Schemes 1952, retention of membership. Membership continuity: an employee remains a member of the fund until they officially withdraw their accumulated credit amount, according to the provisions outlined in paragraph 69. Contribution ceiling: when an employee's monthly salary exceeds rupees 15,000, both the employee and employer contributions are calculated based on a maximum monthly pay of rupees 15,000 only. For refund claims under paragraph 69(2), fund membership terminates on the date when payment is authorized. As per Para 2(f), read with 26A, 69, 5, excluded employees means an employee is considered excluded under the EPF Act when both of the following conditions are satisfied at the time of joining the organization. Pay threshold. The employee's monthly salary exceeds rupees 15,000 N. No existing PF and EPS balance. The employee has no existing PF, pension fund, EPS, balance under the PF Act 1952, as of the date of joining the organization, in any PF office or PF trust exempted under Section 17 of the PF Act 1952. Note, if an employee previously had PF, pension accumulations with any provident fund office or trust, the withdrawal amount must have been credited to their bank account before their joining date to qualify as an excluded employee. Documents verified during PF inspection for excluded employees. During an inspection, the PF officer typically examines the following documents for excluded employees. Form 11. Appointment letter, bank statement, statement confirming the date when all previous employer's provident fund and pension fund accumulations were credited to the employee's bank account, excluded employee declaration, employee resume, previous pay slip from previous employer. Para 2G of the EPF Scheme, 1952, definition of family. For male members, legal wife, all children, regardless of marital status, dependent parents, and the widow and children of a deceased son. For female members, legal husband, all children, regardless of marital status, dependent parents, husband's dependent parents, and the widow and children of a deceased son. Adoption exception. If a child of the member, or of their deceased son, is legally adopted by another person under the adopter's personal law, that child ceases to be considered part of the member's family under this definition. Para 26(6) of the EPF Scheme, 1952. Provisions for voluntary enrollment and enhanced contributions. Authority for approval. The Assistant Provident Fund Commissioner, or higher-ranking official, may approve special enrollment requests upon thorough review. Joint application requirement. Both employee and employer must jointly submit a formal written application for voluntary enrollment or for contributions exceeding the statutory limit of rupees 15,000 per month. Employer's statutory obligation. The employer must formally undertake in writing to remit all applicable administrative charges and adhere to all provisions specified under the scheme regulations. Para 29 of the EPF Schemes 1952. Contribution rates. Basic contribution structure. Employer contributions. Mandatory 12% of employees' monthly pay toward the employee's provident fund account. Employee contributions equal 12% of monthly pay, deducted directly from the employee's salary. Voluntary additional contributions. Employees may choose to contribute beyond the standard 12% rate to enhance their retirement savings. Employers are only obligated to match contributions up to the statutory 12% limit, and not any additional voluntary contributions made by employees. Calculation method. All contributions are calculated and rounded to the nearest rupee following these rules. Amounts of 50 paise or more are rounded upward. 100.50 is rounded to 101. Amounts less than 50 paise are rounded downward. 100.45 is rounded to 100. 100.51 is rounded to 101. Para 31 of the EPF Schemes 1952. Employers' contribution cannot be deducted from members. Employers must contribute their statutory share to employee EPF accounts from company funds without recovering these amounts from employees' wages. Any contractual provision allowing employers to deduct their EPF contributions from employee wages is deemed invalid, regardless of any mutual agreement between the parties. Para 34 of the EPF Schemes 1952. Mandatory pre-employment verification process. Prior to finalizing any employment, employers must require candidates to formally declare their EPF membership status in writing. Candidates must disclose their existing account number or provide comprehensive details of previous employers through the mandatory Form 11 documentation. Para 36A of the EPF Schemes 1952. Employer ownership disclosure requirements. Essential compliance obligations for employers regarding ownership information. All employers must submit Form Number 5A, Documentation must include information about all branches, directors, partners, managers, and individuals exercising ultimate control over the establishment's operations. Any modifications to previously submitted particulars must be reported to the authorities within 15 days of such changes taking effect. Para 36B of the EPF Schemes 1952. Duties of contractors. Monthly submission deadline. Contractors must submit comprehensive contribution statements within 7 days, following the conclusion of each calendar month. Compliance responsibility. Contractors bear full responsibility for ensuring accurate, complete, and timely compliance with all EPF contribution requirements as mandated by law. Para 57 of the EPF Scheme, 1952. Account transfers. When members transition between employers, they are entitled to request the transfer of their accumulated provident fund balance and employee pension scheme details to their account in the new establishment through the EPFO portal. Para 60 of EPF Scheme, 1952. Interest on Provident Fund. The Commissioner credits interest to members' accounts at rates determined by the central government in consultation with the Central Board, ensuring fair returns on employee contributions. Interest accrues on the monthly running balance. Interest payment timeline. For withdrawal claims under paragraph 69 or 70, interest is payable up to the end of the month preceding the authorization date of payment. For claims authorized on or after the 25th of a month, interest for the current month is included with the actual payment disbursed. Para 60 of EPF Scheme, 1952. Interest on Provident Fund. Broken period interest. Interest on partial period claims is calculated at the last declared EPF rate. If the current year's rate is lower than previous declarations, outgoing members benefit from the difference as a bonus payment. Inoperative accounts. Interest ceases to be credited to a member's account from the date it is classified as an inoperative account under subparagraph 6 of paragraph 72. Para 69. Circumstances for EPF fund withdrawal. Members may withdraw their complete accumulated credit under the following qualifying circumstances: retirement and incapacity, reaching retirement age of 55 years or above, suffering permanent physical or mental incapacity, certified by medical authority, taking voluntary retirement under mutual agreement with employer. Migration and employment changes. Permanent migration abroad for settlement or employment purposes, employment termination due to retrenchment, transfer to establishments not covered under the EPF scheme. Other conditions. Commissioner may authorize withdrawal after a 2-month unemployment period. Mandatory waiting period waived specifically for female members resigning for marriage. Members who become re-employed must satisfy EPF membership criteria again. Para 70. Accumulations of a deceased member. Payment guidelines. When a member passes away before claiming their accumulated EPF balance, payments follow this established priority order. Nominated beneficiaries. If the member has filed a valid nomination under paragraph 61, the full amount is distributed to nominees according to the specified proportions in the nomination form. Family members. In the absence of valid nominations, the accumulated balance is distributed equally among eligible family members as defined under the EPF scheme. Legal heirs. If neither valid nominations exist nor any eligible family members can be identified, the accumulated amount becomes payable to the persons who establish legal entitlement through proper documentation. Para 72(6) of EPF Scheme, 1952. When a Provident Fund account becomes inoperative. Retirement after age 55. An account becomes inoperative when a member retires after reaching age 55 and does not withdraw their accumulated funds within 36 months of retirement. Permanent migration abroad. When a member permanently settles overseas and fails to claim their PF balance within 36 months of migration, the account is designated as inoperative. Death of member. In the event of a member's death, if eligible beneficiaries do not submit withdrawal applications within 36 months, the account is classified as inoperative. Interest on inoperative accounts. FAQ 142 from EPFO website. Inoperative accounts do not earn interest. However, under current regulations, all accounts except the above cases continue to accrue interest until the member reaches 58 years of age.